Now to our main discussion for tonight. The pioneer group of the competency-based curriculum has today joined grade 7 in the junior secondary school after completing the first level of the new education system. This is after the government introduced CBC in 2017 to replace the traditional 844 system that was introduced in 1985 by the late former President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. Now, parents of learners joining grade 7 have expressed mixed reactions in as much as the transition is concerned, with many complaining that the transition has not been properly structured. Our question for tonight is, are grade 7 learners prepared for the great transition to junior secondary school? You can engage in the discussion by sharing your views on Twitter at HopeTV_KE and at Kennedy Kimani_. In studio, I am joined by Danston Bobea, who is an academic consultant at Ramani Africa Educational Services. Karibu sana, Danston.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bwana Ken.
Yeah, let's begin straight, in the discussion. And
Yes.
do you think learners are actually prepared for the transition?
Good question. Mixed reactions here. Learners could be prepared, but there are many other stakeholders that are not. The major one here is the government. I know I'm on Hope TV. I'm supposed to give hope. But truth be said, there isn't so much hope I'll give. Because the situation in our secondary schools is in our primary schools is so wanting. Today we have no teachers, but learners have reported. And so we have a situation where learners are in schools, no teachers, especially in public schools. Maybe the people who are a bit fair, at least something is going on, is in private schools. And so it's a very, very big crisis. And I did not, as an expert, I did not agree with the recommendation of the Presidential Working Party to take secondary school to primary schools. Already our Professor Magoha, may his soul rest in peace, had done a lot to prepare the schools, secondary schools, to take these students at the secondary level. So why the government backtracked and took them to primary school is a matter I could not understand.
Because actually many parents were arguing concerning the same issue. By December last year,
Yes.
when actually the parents knew that
Yes.
the junior secondary schools would be domiciled
Yes.
in the primary school. Why
Yes.
do you think that was the case?
Now, the main reason they give is actually age factor. They say the children are a bit young because of they are around 12, 13 years. And another reason they give is they talk of cost. They say it is easier for the children to continue with their learning at the nearby primary schools. But I will tell you it is counterproductive because most of the things that are required in primary, they are actually more than what is required in secondary school. Remember, at the secondary school level, we have teachers. Yeah. And there can be no learning without teachers. Teachers are the major ingredient. All the secondary schools have teachers already. So if this junior secondary was domiciled in secondary schools, then learning will have gone on without a lot of issues because of the teachers. We have the labs, okay? And so whatever they were trying to cut on in terms of cost and all the other things is a big problem because now there are no teachers. The government is trying to employ one teacher per every primary school, yet there are 14 learning areas.
Well, many have blamed the lack of infrastructure in secondary schools, more so concerning the labs.
Yes.
Do you think on the ground that is the case?
You see now, comparatively, secondary schools are much far better than primary schools because there is no single public primary school with a lab. Yeah, if you get, maybe it will be 0.0001%. But all secondary schools are equipped with science labs. So it's a tall order for the government to build labs across all the schools in the country. Now, there are no teachers in primary schools, but all secondary schools have teachers. So it was not right for the government to take this secondary school education to the primary level. The only reason they gave was age and cost, but I think we'll have done better with the children in secondary schools than primary.
Well, up to now, not all the primary schools have been recommended,
Yes.
have all the requirements to host junior secondary schools.
Yes.
Meaning that many parents have been forced to take their children to other schools,
Yes.
causing logistical issues.
Yes.
I mean, how do you think this is going to be addressed? Because you find that many schools, more so in the rural areas,
Yes.
they are not going back to their former schools. They have to be transferred. I mean, for the parents, I mean, how are we going to solve this issue?
It's a big challenge because I saw one parent saying that they have transferred their children and the nearby secondary school or primary school they have been advised to take their children is 7 kilometers away. So that's a big challenge. And if you consider the age of the children and the fact, the gender issues, for example, girls trekking for over 7 kilometers to school and back, it would be a big challenge, and therefore the government must just pull up their socks. Actually, if the government is listening to people like us, they needed just to domicile junior secondary school in secondary schools. That will have finished this whole problem. But taking them to primary schools, trying to merge schools here and there, it will not work. It will not work. It will have to take a lot of time, unfortunately. As it takes time, learning is supposed to be going on, because for the learners, everything continues. And so there's a lot we lose there. I know I'm supposed to give hope, but yeah.
Well, many have complained that not just the junior secondary school, but CBC at large is very, very expensive.
Yes.
Looking at the cost of uniforms. You know, right now, grade 7 learners are going to have a new set of uniforms.
Yes.
I mean, how difficult is it for the parents right now?
Of course it is. It is tough because, as you've said, they have to buy a new set of uniforms. And even though the government is trying to tell parents that, or to tell schools that they should not sell uniforms to the learners, or they should not direct them to sell at a particular level, it becomes a bit problematic to implement that. Because if a school maybe feels that the kind of uniform they want is only, maybe the quality they want is found in shop X, then you cannot just go at home and buy something. If it is white or any other color, you cannot just buy any color and take them to school. So it's a tall order for the parents in these harsh economic times. But I think CBC, as we've said, it is a good program, but the implementation was so hurried, and now the consequences have caught us now. Yeah.
So the other day we saw the trade CS, Moses Kuria, saying that parents should not be forced to buy school uniforms in schools. I mean, as an education expert, what's your take on that? Of
course, he's trying to help the parent here. But I want to tell you, my brother, that things on the ground, mambo ni tofauti. Because, as I've told you, here is a situation where the head teacher knows that maybe shop X has the quality uniform that we want. But you are telling parents to go and get any material. If maybe our color is blue, you will get different shades of blue in school. So that's why schools usually insist that it has to be one particular place. What maybe the CS should have done is to say, they are leveraging on those who are in the manufacturing and those who can do those uniforms to do them, so that there are many shops selling that. But you cannot direct parents that they should not buy in shop X when you have not provided. You know how these things work. You have to provide the demand and supply. You have to provide, and then when they are there in plenty, people will choose where to buy from. Yeah.
Because actually the argument by parents is that schools are overpricing the uniforms.
Yes.
You're a teacher yourself.
Yes, yes.
Do you think that's the case?
Okay, truth be said, it has been a problem because I was a student, I am a teacher, I'm an expert, I've gone to schools, I work with schools all over the country, and I know the cry of the parents. But now the question is, are there options? Are there options? And I've asked you a question. If our school uniform is maybe sky blue and maybe a dark gray trouser, how many shops are providing our shade? Because there will be so many blue uniforms brought in our school. Then now that will not be uniform. So in as much as the government and the trade CS is sympathizing with the parents, but now supply is what is supposed to be there. Let them enable groups of young people to come up with the uniforms and then provide in so many shops. And then they will they'll tell parents to buy from wherever they are available. But now you cannot tell someone not to buy from a specific shop, yet there is no alternative. If the alternatives are there, well and good.
The other issue is concerning the books.
Yes.
14 subjects are going to be taught at grade 7.
Exactly.
12 of them are compulsory.
Yes.
It's a tall order for parents to buy all these books. It's very expensive for them compared to 844 system. I mean, as an education expert, from where you sit, which is the better option?
Okay, the beauty is in public education, the public primary schools or the public junior secondary, the government is providing books. That's an advantage because now parents in public schools, right from grade 1 now, all the books are being provided by the government. So parents will not shoulder that burden. In fact, now there is no school in our country that is forcing pupils to buy a specific book. Even if there are revision materials, like I've written books myself, but in public schools, they tell them it's optional. You can buy kama una uwezo. If you cannot afford, wachana now, because the ones that must be used in the school have been bought by the government. So that's the beauty. So then that leaves here now parents who have taken their children in private schools. Those are the ones now with now a lot of trouble, because now they have to buy all the 14.
All
yes,
right.
yes.
So it's actually the parents in the private schools
yes,
who are
those are the ones that will suffer. I need to add something, that when you talk about private schools, some people think that private schools are always the high-end, expensive schools. The problem we have, for example, in Nairobi is that we don't have many public schools. So you realize that like maybe around here you'll get maybe 1 or 2, and there are so many parents. So they are usually forced to take their children to the low-cost private schools. And so these parents suffer in the end. So if there was a way in which the government will also consider them, especially being that look at slum areas. You go to places like Kibra and other places, you get that maybe there's 1 or 2 public primary schools. So the low-cost private schools usually come up. And those ones, the government should look for ways of helping them also.
So a solution to the parents is to take their kids to the public schools.
But they are not there, you see. Sasa inabidi wajikaze too, because they are not there. The public schools are not there, like in Nairobi. If you try to take your child to a public primary school, you will not even get space, because there are many.
All right.
Yeah.
My director is telling me we take a news break right now, but after the break, you're still going to delve into this discussion, and you can contribute to this discussion on Twitter at HopeTV_KE and at Kennedy Kimani_. See you after this short news break.